Reporting for Israel Today magazine in Jerusalem, I'm Jonathan David. Visiting U.S. Secretary of State John Kerry kicked off his latest round of shuttle diplomacy by reiterating that America views the presence of Jews on their biblical heartlands of Judea and Samaria as illegitimate. Because the Palestinian Arabs claim these areas for their future state, the world insists Jews must not be allowed to live there. But most Israelis understand what the world refuses to acknowledge. Rejecting the right of Jews to live in Judea and Samaria is just a precursor to ejecting Israel from the land altogether. If the Jews have no right to live in Judea and Samaria, those areas most tied to their biblical and national history, then they must likewise have no right to live in Tel Aviv, the Galilee, or anywhere else. Israel this week was again embroiled in a controversy as the Women of the Wall movement pressed its demands for women to be able to worship as men at the Western Wall, Judaism's holiest site. On the surface, that might seem like a reasonable demand in today's society, but there's much more to the story. A Messianic historian writes for Israel Today that the Women of the Wall movement is actually part of the larger ultra-liberal feminist movement that seeks to blur gender lines and reverse the familial roles set out by the Word of God. That Hebrew was a vital part of Israel's restoration is a simple lesson in history. When Israel was in the land and while the temple was still standing, they abandoned Hebrew for Greek and Roman culture and lost their independence. 1,700 years passed before the Jews came back to Hebrew, returned to their land, and gained their independence once again. Actually, Hebrew has always been a little-known secret weapon in the battle for Israel. Israel Today takes a look at the fierce battle that raged exactly 100 years ago to determine the language of the soon-to-be-established Jewish state. While many advocated for French, English, and a variety of other languages, the language of the forefathers, Hebrew, eventually won out. Reporting for Israel Today, I'm Jonathan David. Stay informed, pray informed. Check out IsraelToday.com.